Greetings and welcome back to another Tarot Tuesday. So if you've watched my last video, you'll know why I've kind of fallen behind on things in general. Plus, I'm having a problem with Tarot Tuesday specifically because it's really hard to do a general reading on everyone. I've noticed that a lot of tarot readers seem to solve this by doing love reading for the sign of Cancer for the month of July. But at the same time, I feel like there are a lot of people doing that kind of content already. And I could do that, but it feels a little unoriginal. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of it on TikTok. I'm seeing a little bit of it here on, I think I have an eyelash here. I feel like I'm seeing some really good content providers here on YouTube already doing that. Nicholas Ashbaugh, for example, whom I subscribe to and recommend. He's doing it brilliantly. I don't think I could really top that, if you will. And he uses all these different decks and angel cards and some channeled information. And it's really beautifully well done. So I don't think I could add to that. So I'm a little bit stuck as to how I could provide Tarot Tuesday content to you. And I originally had the idea for doing this from doing single card readings first on Facebook on one of the Chaos Magic groups. I'd say, give me a question. I'm going to be doing single card readings for the next 3 hours. So throw me your questions. And it was really good because it helped me hone my skills, which I always love. And, it's just the best kind of reading there is, but it was for people's questions. So ideally I would take direct questions from y'all. I was thinking about doing things from the headlines. I could take, maybe roll the dice and do pick trending hashtags on Twitter. I don't know. For the time being, I'm going to do a Celtic Cross reading, and I'm going to try to really just focus on the world at the moment, and just kind of see what's going on for us for the next week. The 3 cards, the deck seems to really want to kind of focus on me. I'm having a really hard time getting it to look outwards a little bit more. Because we're so close. But I think with doing more of a Celtic Cross, I can be more fair and balanced. And sorry, let me take a sip of my tea, because I was going to have tea on Tarot Tuesday. Slurpee. And what's funny is I haven't been picking these guys up. In the meantime, I like my energy to be as, level as possible. And like I said, if you watched my last video, you'll know kind of what's been going on in the house, and that'll explain why I haven't really been diving into these guys so much. So let me adjust my setup. I'm going to cut that part out so that we can look at the cards a bit more. Doodly doodly doo. Doodly doo.
Okay, so I lost a section of the video because my computer was being picky with me. So the first card that is laying down underneath the cross of the Celtic cross is the Six of Wands, which is known as victory. And how I interpret that is our overall feeling, since this is a general reading pretty much for everyone, I interpret that as the current and overall feeling is one of, yay, we finally made it. We've gotten somewhere after months of being in lockdown. Some of the restrictions are finally being released, at least for those of us in the United States. For those in other countries, you're probably feeling some relief as well. I understand that coronavirus numbers are decreasing for certain parts of the world. Although I know here in the States, there's an irrationality to some of the restrictions being released, but I do believe that there is a lot of relief. So that sense of victory is still there. That card is being crossed by the Princess of Discs. And in other decks, such as the Rider-Waite and other popular decks, it's not the princess, but rather the page. These are the messengers of the tarot. And the discs are the pentacles in most other decks. So they're messengers of money. So a lot of you will probably be seeing money coming soon, within the next week, I would say, because this is a week reading, or a reading for the upcoming week. So with restrictions being released, those of you being recalled back to work perhaps, or maybe you're seeing more money coming to you in the form of tax relief, or if you're a business owner, perhaps you're seeing your business being able to take in patrons again due to restrictions being released or relieved. In the to the right of that is what is in the recent past, that orange card, and that is the Ten of Swords. The 10 in all of the suits is the ultimate culmination of the energy of that suit, and before it goes into the next suit. And in this case, it's swords, which is air and also mental energy, thinking energy. This is Sun in Gemini, and this card is known as Ruin in this deck. And the swords have all come together, and they're all breaking at the center. There's a tremendous amount of force, and they're all shattering, and the background is just chaos. I made a comment in the piece of footage that went missing that I don't think Crowley felt very highly of mental energy, because the entire suit of swords in his deck is all kind of negative. But most of you have probably been feeling frustrated and cooped up and, worrying about money and worrying about your future and thinking about what are you going to do with the rest of your life, and how is the world going to change, and what if things never do get better, and so on. And probably many of you, in one way or another, your lives have been ruined by this. Perhaps you're a caregiver of someone who's sick. Perhaps you're an essential worker and you're exhausted by this entire thing. Perhaps you're a business owner and you've lost your business because of this. Perhaps you own a strip mall and all of the businesses in your strip mall have had to shut down. And now what do you do? So it's easy to see that this could be something that's in the recent past. Now, as far as this goes, that was all that was missing from that footage. From here, I go into the card that my hands are on, which is the Queen of Cups, and that is in the footage that I have. So I'm just going to end off here.
Okay, so it appears that my computer wants to do this in small bits. So this is going to be piecemeal. But below, which is either the basis of the matter or in the subconscious, we have the Queen of Cups. And so there's a lot of inner reflection going on. This is a very spiritual and deep card. And I consider this a good thing. The fact that we have been forced to be isolated and relatively alone has brought us to a state of very deep spiritual thinking, and reassessing our values and what's really important and what we really need to be focusing on. The Queen of Cups reflects that that's exactly what we've been doing, reassessing our values, reassessing what's really important to us. And as a relatively materialistic society, thanks to the boomer generation, I think the coronavirus has actually brought us to a better place spiritually. So the Queen of Cups tells us that this is exactly what we've been doing. Now, what is above is more of what's on the conscious mind. And here we have the King of Cups. Cups are spiritual love energy. And the King of Cups is actually, he's on his steed, he's moving forward. It's always forward motion. And so this is spirit to action. And we can see that he's holding a cup with a crab in it. And I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the symbology of that at the moment. Now, there's a little bit of conflict here. The King of Cups is not as strong as some of the other kings, in that he and his horse are not looking in the same direction. So he's not as effective and as forward as some of the other kings. So he can vacillate a little bit. So what that tells us is that as a society, we're still a little bit on the fence as far as what we think needs to happen in order to make society better. And I think that shows in what we're actually seeing. People are argumentative about what goals we need to accomplish in order to get ourselves back on track. But at least we are having these discussions, and I think these discussions are long overdue. What we have before us, which is the immediate future, is the sun. I think this card has come up in several of my Tarot Tuesdays. This is an absolutely beautiful card. We see the twins of Gemini dancing beneath the sun. We have the entire astrological realm represented all around the sun. And this is joy and wholeness and delight and pleasure. So Tarot Tuesday is meant to be just like a weekly reading. So at least for the upcoming week, we can expect some delight and some happiness, which is always a good thing. So, with things opening up, I think we're over the next week. I think a lot of people are going to be really happy about that. Moving on, in the self, ourselves are feeling sorrow. This is the 3. Is this the 3? Yeah. Shoot. This is the 3 of Swords. Swords energy, mental energy. This is Saturn in Libra. Saturn being the disciplinarian of the zodiac, and Libra is an air sign, and so is aligned with the airiness of Swords, but Saturn is very punishing and harsh, and that Swords energy just goes right into the heart and just becomes bitterness. And you can see, is that a rose? Yeah. I think it's actually supposed to be a lotus, but it looks a little bit more like a rose. And so there's just so much bitterness and punishing, and I think a lot of us are feeling this like deep anguish, like when will this all be done? When will this all be behind us? And we're just aching for relief. So I think this just is simply telling us the truth of where we are. However, in the mind, we have the 11. This is a major arcana card, which is very powerful. Now, in the tote deck, this is usually the 9 card and is usually called Strength. In the tote deck, this is switched and is called Lust instead. And she is writing she's writing what it's supposed to be a woman with a lion, but here Crowley has made her writing this like 7-headed beast with I think that's a scorpion's tail. It's not really a scorpion's tail. There's actually a creature's face in there. And it's kind of like a 7-headed hydra. And she has leashed it and has conquered its power and made it her own. And so as a society in the world, we have so much potential and so much strength to overcome anything that comes our way. I think this is true. And there's so much good that we could still do, and that I believe we are doing. I'm constantly hearing just the most amazing stories. For example, there's this tiny group of about, 6 or 7 people that are going around the ocean, clearing tons of plastic from the ocean, just themselves, and putting it to be recycled. And you would think they cleared like 1.5 tons of plastic just themselves with this little boat. Well, I mean, it's not a little tiny boat. It's a ship, but it's not a magnificent ship. And it's just a group of people. Where there's this other guy who's just planting millions of trees. He created an organization. He's in his 20s, and he's like, I'm just going to plant millions of trees. And I think his organization is called 1 Million Trees. And he's just a guy, and he's just doing it. And so he's got all these young people who are like, yeah, we're behind you. We're going to do this. And he's doing it. And he's like researching the types of trees that would do well in the specific region. So he's putting in the right types of cultivars so that he's not throwing off the biodiversity or anything. And it's just amazing what people can do. You know, this is who we are. This is who we are. Don't give up. Now, in the environment, we have the Prince of Discs. The Prince in the tote deck is equal to the King of the most common decks. And so here we have His Royal Majesty marching forth, fully forward in he's calm and he's regal and confident. But he's not fast. He's moving forward slowly at his regal pace. So there is material change happening in the world, but it's not happening quickly, and it won't happen quickly because the wheels of the world do not happen quickly. It's the material world and the spiritual world operate at two different speeds, and that's just the simple fact. So now I've been hesitant to work my way to this particular card. Now, in the outcome, we have the Eight of Cups. Now, although it's an even card, it's an 8. 8 is a stable number. This happens to be Saturn in Pisces. Saturn being the disciplinarian of the card. Pisces is sensitive, watery, psychic energy. And Saturn and Pisces do not mix well. I happen to have Saturn in Pisces. And it's very punishing. So this is called indolence. And the water is not flowing. Or it's only partially flowing. The upper tiers of the cups have gone dry. The mid to lower tiers are flowing somewhat. There's a stormy background, and the horizon does not look pleasant. It's gloomy. So I think, although in the immediate future, for the next week, I do think the next week is going to look sunny for us. On the further horizon, we're not completely through this. So know that we are strong. We have the strength to get through what is ultimately going to be a bit more gloom and doom on the horizon. A bit further out, we're not through this completely. I honestly think that things are opening up too soon. I think we're going to see a spike in illnesses. I hope it does not touch any of you personally. So stay safe. Keep your caution up. Keep your guard up. Continue operating in as safe a manner as possible. Take advantage of the opportunities in income that are coming your way. and the machine of government that are slowly making its way to us. But know that we are not yet through this, and that we are divided on what the ultimate course of action should be. So that's my take on things. I hope this has helped you in some way. Sorry that I had to do this in drips and drabs, and that the video is a bit cut up. Sorry for the not broadcast quality of all of this. As I've mentioned many times before, while I am a former graphic designer and I know how to do all the things, for health reasons, I really need to not, if I can avoid it, I really need to make these things as simple as possible on myself, just for health reasons, and not spend hours and hours and hours like editing and like syncing audio to video and shit like that. So, but it's about the content, the actual reading for me, and I hope this has helped you. I wish you love and peace and health and safety to you and your loved ones. Mwah. See you soon.